Imagine a barn, not the kind you pass on a quiet back road and forget by sunset. This one lingers. It doesn't smell of hay or silence. It breathes color, texture. It traded timber for something louder, bolder, velvet in the rafters, brass in the corners, and walls that don't just hold things in, they speak. You see, most barns are built to hold grain or maybe shelter tired animals from the storm. But this one holds a life that never learned how to whisper. It was once bones and rust, weathered by wind, softened by time. And then, someone came along, with a heart full of stories and paint under their fingernails. Did you know that 70% of homeowners feel their space doesn't reflect their style? Don't be part of that statistic. Subscribe and start designing a home that truly feels yours. Now it stands, reborn, not hiding, not asking permission, just glowing. It's the kind of place that makes you stop, not just because it's beautiful, but because it reminds you of something in yourself you forgot you missed. Behind that crimson door, there's a secret. And tonight, you're not just going to see it, you're going to feel it. Ready? Let's step inside. Step closer. Not just with your feet, but with your curiosity. Because this isn't just a building. This is what happens when someone refuses to play small. We cross a line tonight, from quiet countryside to a riot of pattern and purpose. This is not a home that blends in. It does not apologize. It does not explain. Every wall, every corner, every chandelier made of mismatched spoons. It's all a manifesto against beige. You were taught that homes should be tasteful, safe, predictable. A beautiful home is not a dream, it's an art. And you're the artist. Subscribe and start creating spaces that speak to the soul. But taste is subjective. And safety? Sometimes it looks like silence. This place, though, it sings. You won't find symmetry here, or restraint. You'll find stories stacked on top of stories, clashing colors that somehow fall in love, and a wild kind of freedom that's contagious. This barndominium isn't just shelter. It's rebellion with a roof. It's the dream of someone who saw a blank barn wall and thought, let's paint the loudest thing I've ever felt. So step through. Let go of what you expect. Because from here on out, rules are just suggestions. And beauty? It's about to get loud. It began with silence. A barn left behind, skin peeling, bones sagging, no longer remembered by the wind that once passed through its cracks. Just a weather-beaten shell, resting between seasons, forgotten even by the birds. But someone saw it. Not with a developer's eye or a flipper's checklist, but with something softer, wilder. They stepped onto the creaking floor with boots stained in paint and memories, and heard something most people miss. A rhythm in the rafters, a heartbeat beneath the dust. Transform your home. Transform your life. Subscribe now and let's create spaces you'll love forever. To the world, it was just a barn. To them, it was a canvas, aching to be louder. So they broke a rule, one that most designers cling to like gospel. The rule that says, choose one focal point, keep the eye calm, let the room breathe. Instead, they let the space shout. They let it breathe fire. Layer after layer, chaos and color wove together like a symphony with no conductor, just instinct and feeling and joy. That's when the magic began. But what was the rule they broke beneath the color? The one that made it all work? We'll get there, but first, let me show you what happens when color refuses to sit still. Here, color doesn't decorate. It converses. It calls out from the walls, spills across the ceiling, dares you to look away. Emerald greens pulse beside fuchsia skies, like nature and neon locked in a beautiful argument. And somehow, in the chaos, Everything feels alive. Textures don't just exist, they flirt. A velvet sofa leans lazily against a wall of raw corrugated steel, like luxury brushing up against grit and grinning. Silk drapes kiss rusted iron rods. Woven baskets sit beside polished brass, each element challenging the next. What are you doing here? But no one leaves the room. Then come the patterns. Loud, layered, unapologetic. Moroccan tiles swirl beneath Appalachian quilts. Paisley meets polka dot like long-lost cousins at a family reunion. Nothing matches. And that's the point. Because this isn't a place for perfection. This is a place for presence, for sitting in a room that hums, pulses, moves, even when you don't. Every surface is a sentence. Every clash is intentional. It's not about getting it right. It's about getting it felt. And once you feel it, you don't want to leave. Every object here has luggage tags. Not the paper kind, but invisible ones, stitched with memory. A brass lamp from a dusk-lit bazaar in Marrakesh. A chipped teacup found on a rainy day auction table where no one else noticed its tiny golden crack shaped like a lightning bolt. These aren't decorations. They're witnesses to lives lived, places wandered, quiet moments no one else saw. The bookshelves are uneven, handmade, a little stubborn, just like the person who built them on a Sunday afternoon while a storm rolled in. The cabinet near the back wall? That's no ordinary heirloom. It once stood in the owner's grandmother's house, tucked between silence and secrets. But open its doors today, and it hums. Literally. Because inside it hides something unexpected. Not everything old here stays old. And that's the magic of this space. It doesn't choose between past and present. It invites both in. Lets them sit across from each other. Sip tea, maybe argue a little, but always stay for dessert. This house isn't curated. It's collected, layer by layer, story by story. A rebellion built from memory. And behind one of those memories waits a twist you won't see coming. Maximalism isn't clutter. It's choreography. Every piece moves with intention. Every pattern has its cue. But even the boldest dance runs out of floor. And that's where the brilliance begins. Because when space becomes precious, this home doesn't shrink. It adapts. There's a cabinet that pulls out like a secret handshake, revealing a pantry 3 times deeper than it looks. A bookshelf that slides, not to reveal a hidden room, but to transform a hallway into a study. And in the loft, a pulley system that lowers a bed like a curtain call, part magic trick, part necessity. These aren't compromises, they're inventions, born not from scarcity but from desire, to have it all without feeling overwhelmed. Here, form doesn't follow function. They dance together. Sometimes they switch leads. Sometimes they spin in opposite directions only to land, somehow, in perfect rhythm. Because this home knows the truth. You don't have to live small to live smart. You just need to let creativity lead the way. It's not about adding more. It's about making space for what matters most, even if it means bending a few walls along the way. They didn't just break the rules, they rewrote them. Tore out the minimalist gospel page by page and scribbled something new in the margins. More, if it moves you. Not more for the sake of more. Not noise without rhythm, but emotion multiplied. Designers will tell you to choose one focal point, one palette, one style. But this home, it laughs at one, and still, it doesn't feel chaotic. It feels intentional. Every color crash, every pattern clash, somehow sings in harmony. Why? Because beneath all the wildness, there is a rule. A gentle thread tying the madness together. 3 tones. That's it. 3 repeating colors that show up like familiar faces in a crowded room. They ground the space, whispering to your eyes, It's okay. This belongs. In this house, mustard yellow wraps a lamp, reappears in a painting, and returns again in the stitching of a pillow. Deep teal dances through the wallpaper, the rugs, the kitchen cabinets. A burnt orange hums beneath it all like bass in a song.